Yes, I am. But I'm like, if we change, that's why the other reason. Maybe we.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start off with item 1C, our Orange Crush celebrations. Ms. Gladman?
Sure, absolutely. So we have 3 ones. One of them is very specific to a student who is not here, but I hope for anybody who's watching and listening. Nico, one of our high school students, Mr. Loomis shared this with us. Massive shout out. He's a senior, and he was actually traveling to BOCES on March 3rd. And during the inclement weather that was going on, he witnessed a serious accident. Kind of gives me goosebumps to talk about this because it's such an incredible thing. The vehicle that was in an oncoming lane suddenly swerved across the road and into a ditch, flipped upon impact. Nico immediately stopped and pulled out the jack from his own car. He helped pry open the vehicle door so the passenger was able to safely be extracted. So right there, amazing feat of kindness, concern, and willing to go the extra mile when the weather wasn't great himself. So super awesome celebration. Also, the week of March 2nd and to the 6th, Townsend celebrated Read Across America Week, and the students that engaged in activities included daily themes, story ideas, and Spirit Week, which if you ever walk down to Townsend, it's like always Spirit Week. There's always something going on. And this morning, Box Out Bullying came and presented to both the middle school and the high schoolers. The presentation was well received by students. It was entertaining and informative. So Bad Bunny, I believe, was part of the thing that I saw, so it was pretty exciting. I thought it was pretty impressive.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item 1D, our vision statement. The Walton Central School District is an organization committed to learning and growing together by providing a safe, caring, inspiring environment where students engage in a wide variety of opportunities to honor their individual interests, needs, and talents in the classroom and beyond. Moving on to item 2A, the approval of the CSE CBSE recommendations. Would entertain a motion.
I would move that.
I'll second.
Motion by Gray and second by Jake. All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Moving on to item 3A for public comment. Just waiting for this to catch up. At this time, we're entering the public comment portion of our meeting. This is an opportunity to share concerns and opinions on matters relating to school business. While this is a time for the board to listen rather than engage in open dialogue, we take your input seriously and may refer matters to the superintendent for follow-up. We ask that you complete a public comment topic form, and we have this new form that is we worked on during our last policy meeting. So if anybody's looking to submit public comment, we ask you to complete that form and leave it in the box provided on the sign-in table. Under state and federal privacy laws, we cannot accept comments or questions regarding individual school personnel or students. Please address those concerns to the superintendent during regular business hours following the district communication guidelines. We ask that everyone demonstrate mutual respect even when viewpoints disagree. This serves as an important example of civil discourse for our students. To ensure everyone has a chance to speak, we ask you limit your comments to 3 minutes and please address all comments to the board from the podium. The public is also welcome to submit written comments by emailing boe@waltoncsd.org or by calling 607-865-4116 extension 6130. We thank you for your participation and your commitment to our schools. So at this time, is there any public comment? Okay, great, hearing none. We will move on to item 4A, the travel club presentation. Invite up the travel club members.
Okay, we went to Costa Rica this past month.
Oh, yeah.
We flew in opposite from what this picture is. So we flew into Liberia and we flew out of San Jose.
So we drove down to JFK in New York City, and then we flew to Miami and got a connecting flight from Miami to Liberia, where we stayed for the first 2 days.
The second day, we started off by traveling to the lake, and then we went on a boat and it was snorkeling, and everyone got jellyfish things, so I thought it was really good. And then
And also, we got to stop and that was fun. On day 3, we went on a hike in one of the national parks. We hiked to this volcano. This is a fig tree. It pretty much encapsulates what its host tree, and that tree just completely rots inside. So this tree is completely hollow. And then Killian also got his hair cut by our tour guide.
Our tour guide was a dance instructor, a barber, a DJ.
He was everything.
It was literally everything.
And that's what we're about. That picture in the top right, it's hard to see, but there's a snake in it. And we were 3 feet away from the most venomous snake in Central America.
I think day 4, we went to the waterfall, we went kayaking, we went to the hot springs, and we did a chocolate tour. And this was our chocolate tour guide. And then Gavin, you want to
So in this picture here, Kai decided to climb a rock after a lifeguard specifically told him not to. And then he fell off said rock onto another rock.
That day later, we went to the hot springs. Nice. Oh yeah, and we also. Oh, there were like 600 steps down to the waterfall, and then 600 steps back. This was the worst part. It was so bad. And then for dinner, I mean, that's what we had. We all had different meals, but I ordered the fish. Alright, so this is a little bit. But anyway, so day 5 we had the chance to go zip lining, which was my first time, so it was a lot of fun and very scary at the same exact time. They literally told you all the rules in like 5 minutes and just expect you to know because they like shot you down. Dylan had an interesting first go around.
He forgot to mention, we went through the whole rainforest.
Right.
So we just started, I don't know, kind of low, and then we went super high, and just kept going.
And I forgot what lake, what was the last one that we went down? We went over the river.
It was like, you were in the air for over a minute on the last one.
Yeah, it was like really much fun. And we also went whitewater rafting, which was a bunch of fun.
Which was before.
Yeah, that was before the
Right.
slides down low and stuff. We were told to tell you that that's Mr. Cutting jumping off. Yeah, so-
Oh, he was so excited
He
to
was so
jump, that he
excited.
left his glasses on.
He still has it.
And this was my group, and it was very, it was very interesting because one moment it'd be like that, and the other moment it'd be like that. I know a tour guide like full on like flew off, like. No, we were like riding, and then we were waiting for someone to fall off, and then we hear a splash, and we all look around to see who was there. We were all still there, and then we look, and he's Olympic swimming like back to the thing. Oh yeah, and also we had lunch after, which was like make your own nachos, and that was mine because like food is like my life, so that was great. The food was so good. I'm sorry. Okay. Also on day 5, we did a lot on day 5. Later we went to this little hotel type little.
This is glamping, this is just a tent.
Yeah,
That looked like a
basically a
cabin.
tent, and it was I was
No air
it was so-
conditioning, no
yeah.
hot water.
Literally
no-
just a fan, just a fan.
Day 6, we had breakfast at the camping place. And then we went on a pineapple tour in the morning. We got to explore the fields. And then we went to cooking classes where we got to make tortillas and empanadas. And then we took a boat ride to the next hotel, which was on the island. And then that's dinner.
We ate a lot. They did not go hungry.
And
Basically, on day 7, in the morning, we got up at like, I don't know, we got up at 5 something, and we went on like a boat tour through one of the national parks, and we saw, monkeys and some birds, that's literally the only thing we saw, but it's fine. And then we went to one of the beaches, but we couldn't swim in the water because of like, the waves were too strong, I guess. And then we toured the village, and then that night our tour guide decided he was gonna bring in a 3-foot long iguana and show us, and then leave it right outside where we were walking. And this was the last full day we spent in Costa Rica. It was a very long bus ride. We went to San Jose, which is like the really big city.
the cat.
The capital, really big city. And that's also the day we learned that we didn't have a flight. That's fine.
We need to think.
It's fine.
We flew out of San Jose early in the morning and went to Chicago, where Miss Peter had to book us a charter bus on the airplane back home, which is 13 hours long. But
Well, actually, it was almost.
we made it home to freezing cold weather after being at 83 feet all week. That's it, right? Any questions?
Sounds like you had fun.
So much fun.
Any
Lots of fun.
words of wisdom for the next group that will be going travel for adventure? Like,
Don't fall off rocks.
Listen to the lifeguard.
Listen to the lifeguard.
Don't get stuck in drama.
Watch your step.
Have fun.
What else, yeah?
Don't steal a monkey because it costs like
Oh my God, it costs so
$17,000.
much.
did somebody attempt this?
No.
Just about it. Yeah. And respect the culture, because it's very different. In many ways, it's very different from what we have here, but it's so interesting and cool how everyone like conducts themselves in their everyday lives. Awesome. Yeah.
It was a great group of kids. It was I mean, one of the best groups we've had. It was a great trip.
It was a big group, but they all, I think they enjoyed themselves. They embraced everything that we did.
We didn't have any issues until the last day. We couldn't get to New York, but we made the best of that situation, really, getting the bus.
They got a long sleep. I don't think many of them stayed with kind of bus rides, so.
Until it hit 2 in the morning.
Then it was your second win.
I would say I want to say thank you to all of the adults that went on the trip and all of you for being so well behaved and supportive of everything, because there was a lot of issues obviously near the end, so. But I still came back and had a good time. But definitely shows your flexibility and your resiliency.
Yes, bye guys.
Okay, we're gonna move on to 4B, which is the senior class trip presentation.
Okay. This year we decided to take a trip to Boston, Massachusetts. And day one, we're planning on departing at about 7:45 a.m., but it is subject to change depending on the rest of us do on day one. Okay, when we arrive in Boston, our plan is to go whale watching. I don't know, that should be interesting. I've never been to Boston before, but yeah. And then for dinner on day one, we were going to this interactive dinner called Fire and Ice. And I think you get to pick your own food and you get to see it like be together, and you also get entertainment. And then this is the hotel we're staying at, and the location is white.
On day 2, we're going to aquarium.
And then also on day 2, we're going sightseeing. And the same night, we have our dinner dance quiz that we do every senior trip.
And then day 3, our plan is just to go to Six Flags for the day, and hopefully the water park is open, along with the last one.
And then for the cost breakdown, we have everything added over here, and then we were able to get the O'Connor grant for $5,000, and our 2026 class raised $5,500 to take all of them out. And we are planning on having about 48 people go on the trip, but that's also subject to change if people can afford it or not. So per traveler, and before any fundraising, it's around $323. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. And just as a reminder, the senior class trip is on the agenda for approval tonight.
I believe Ms. Dieter is going to quickly go over the
Okay. So Ms. Dieter's gonna
I'm going
do a
to.
quick presentation on 2028.
Yes. So, this is the first trip that we took many, many years ago, in maybe 2000. So we're gonna go return to Costa Rica, but we're gonna stay on the Pacific side instead of going to both coasts. And they call it the touch of the tropics. This is basically, this is subject to change because since we've gone to Costa Rica so many times, we can switch things around. So we don't want to stay 2 days in one place. We can, I would like to add, because all the kids love to whitewater raft, so we would add whitewater rafting somewhere in there. And it's a little bit different than the one that they took because they're not, we're going to go on a coffee farm. They're going to zip line through the rainforest in this one. They're going to also be able to walk to the top of the volcano and look down into the crater. They're going to do the kayaking, the waterfall. They're going to actually have an exchange program with locals. We always visit the hot springs. A food workshop. The Rainforest Adventure Park is where they get to walk around. They go over bridges. They can look down into the valley. a butterfly sanctuary, and these guys are gonna go on, well, we did see crocodiles, but this one is specifically to go in search of crocodiles. Visit the Pacific Coast, the beach, Manuel Antonio, and then they have a dancing evening as well, just not by the tour director, but by a local group of dancers. And I think that you guys, this is just a short thing from everything that was in that packet. And we're still gonna work with EF. And everything on this tour is included, just like last time, all the meals. The only thing that will be in addition is if we have other activities we do while we're there. And the price did go up. So per student is about $4,500. And something new that they have a fundraiser page where the students can share with their family, and that'll go directly to their bill, which they haven't had it. They might have had it last year. They can also apply for scholarships. We do fundraising to help them pay for it, but most of it's gonna be their responsibility to pay for it. And we do it so far in advance so the payments are lower.
And of course, the sooner we do it, that we're locked in at that price too.
Yeah.
If we wait longer, the total is more, and then each month's payment is more too.
And we haven't ever had to use the insurance policy, so. And these are just some of the things. There's Mr. Cutting again.
I'm in all their promotional pictures.
And it just talks about EF. I mean, we've used them all the, I mean, this year was a little sketchy with the weather, but it all worked out, so. And that's it. I forgot to put the question slide. But
Are you changing it because you found like this year was too much to go coast to coast, or is that,
Well,
is it?
Well, for me, well, if I decide to do it again, I prefer, I don't know how to say it without, because I know you like to go to, I don't like Tortuguero, just because there's not a lot for them to do, so, but.
And this, the Manuel Antonio National Park's really nice.
And hopefully there won't be any jellyfish too.
Both times we've gone to that one, we've had jellyfish when we're snorkeling, so.
And this one we looked at because they were really upset. We were supposed to have a soccer game and it didn't work out, so the locals. So this one has it built into it, and I think that the students really enjoy, you know, you can still communicate with people if you don't know Spanish, so.
And this one just has a couple other things that are nice, like the folklore evening and cultural exchange with other kids, so that the other trip doesn't have.
It's like $200 cheaper.
Any other questions? Or?
Oh, but we did change. We're gonna fly back from Albany. We're gonna do, not that, you know, we didn't expect a catastrophic storm to hit New York City, so we'll expect it to hit Albany this time.
Well, it's nice too, because if they do get us out of Albany, I think the bus garage is more willing to, you know, to go there to the city. It's tough to get to the city, the school buses.
And then if they can't get us a flight from Albany, and they have to fly us from a different airport, they have to make the cost.
And they'll give us a coach bus and stuff.
Is that price assuming Albany?
Yep.
So, okay.
And that's why it's a little bit more expensive. It's like $200 cheaper if you go out of the city, but arranging transportation is like easy. And I would prefer we all leave at once. So if we fly, I want to make sure our group stays together. So it's a lot easier going from a smaller, so we don't have to split up. That's-
Thank you very much.
2 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the 2028 trip is on the agenda for approval as well.
I'll make sure these guys get out.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good evening. Your stuff here looks good. All right, so moving on to item 5A, our discussion items. Policy Committee met on March 9th, and the report note the comments are available at the report link there. Just to highlight a few of the main items, we did discuss the streamlining of the sexual harassment policies for staff and students, so that's on tonight's agenda. And that's basically just, we had multiple policies, it's just getting them into a single policy and a single exhibit as well. We also talked about a draft motor vehicle and traffic policy, and that is now going to administration and eventually to our legal counsel for review. We also have a modification to the homework policy, which Michelle, you brought up a few meetings ago, and that's on the agenda tonight for first reading. And was there anything else that you would like to highlight? I think
No.
the other ones were just really pretty straightforward changes based on
What were the changes on the lunch? A lot of the food lunch things were all changed.
That's because lunch is now free.
But for how long? Do we dare change the policy if that's not guaranteed to stay that way forever?
That's how it came from NISBA Policy Services.
It's an expectation, it's not going
Right.
Okay,
So
that was
if the
my
funding
only
doesn't come
question.
back, look, it's supposed to be there.
Right, and that was reviewed by our cafeteria manager. and she
Okay. I was just like, what if we don't qualify to be free forever? Then we're gonna have to revisit that policy and do an emergency change.
any questions on the policy? Or Ellie, did you have anything else on that?
And just note that we are gonna look at, hopefully, at the base in agreement to review the policy on animals in schools and school property.
Yes.
We're getting chickens?
Not unless they're certified with insurance and they're a therapy animal. We just wanna take a look at that because right now that doesn't have any provision for therapy animals to come in and support, which are different than support animals. We can just get a certificate. These are, they have licensing and they have insurance. That'll go up to the policy committee.
Yeah, so that's the plan, is that policy 4850 will go to the policy committee at the next meeting. The next facilities committee meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 24th at 5 p.m. And we'll be getting an update on the proposed bus garage relocation capital project at the April 14th board meeting. Anything to add on?
Just want to report that our grant for the design portion, $550-some thousand, was approved by CWC board. So that will be coming forth. They have what they call a right of objection. There's a certain amount of time that if any stakeholder objects to a grant, they have to wait. It's like a 15-day wait of right of objection. That actually comes up, that'll be finished on the 19th. And then after that, we would expect a contract. So great news, we got exactly what we were asking for the most part. So the design portion is funded.
Great. That's awesome. Thanks for that update. The Shared Services Committee will meet tomorrow at 4 p.m. One thing I did want to bring up for board discussion, at the February 12th Shared Services meeting, we did talk about an merged athletics program survey. And since the board is not meeting again for basically another month, I thought, we should get some input from the board as a whole, just make sure everybody's on board with going out with a survey to gather input on the merged athletic program, so that tomorrow when the Shared Services Committee meets, the focus during that meeting can be on what does that survey actually look like, and what are these specific questions. So, are there any comments or concerns regarding an athletics survey going out? This is something that we have done in the past. So we've done this 2 times previously.
So it's going out to community, students, staff, how is this being presented?
That's how it's gone out previously, and I guess.
Coaches and everybody that.
Yep.
I think we need to get everybody's input. And from what we were hearing, and it was done in the past, it's now really a good time. Lots of opportunities that have led us to reevaluating where we're at. So even in looking for input and questions, that's like if you want to email a question of maybe what you might want to see on that to get some updated data. I've been talking to some community members and people have talked to me to get some information and have actually brought up some really good questions that we should be looking at. So I think it's valuable to get input from people on actual survey questions as well. And one of the other things that was mentioned there was possibly doing a parent, it wasn't in here, but maybe doing a forum. There was one in the past, I think, that was done to get input from parents and community members and an open forum. So, all discussed at the shared committee meeting.
Is everybody good with moving forward with that approach? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have the bus fleet plan, which is going to be brought forward at April 14th meeting. Was that the plan? Okay. There's no plan for a finance committee meeting though in between now and then, right? This is just okay.
That was an inquiry. So
Yes. A reminder that we'll have a special meeting on Wednesday, April 20th at 4:30 p.m. to vote on the DCMO BOCES administrative budget and board members. You'll need to have quorum for that meeting. The 26-27 school calendar is on tonight's agenda for adoption. We'll have some discussion about that later. But this does give us an opportunity to talk about the board meeting calendar for next year. So I guess one of my goals is to try to minimize the number of meetings as much as possible. I realize that everybody has outside commitments, and this year we've certainly it's been a big commitment for everybody's participation to attend all the meetings. They've been lengthy as well, so I'd like for us to consider trying to minimize the number of meetings as much as possible. It's not just our regular board meetings, but we also have committee meetings as well. And I'm not suggesting that we just go to a once-a-month meeting, but if there's times of the year when we know we're less busy and we can do once a month, I'd like us to consider that. And then if there's times of the year, like where we're doing more employment, say in September, maybe we have 2 meetings during that. But just looking for opportunities where we can reduce some of the time commitment that's required for the board members, and knowing that we want to have a successful board, we want to have involved community members, we want to have parents involved, but it is quite a big time commitment, so we want to try to reduce that burden as much as possible. So any thoughts generally on trying to reduce the number of meetings, or?
Yes.
I mean, honestly, it's just the length of them really gets wearing pretty bad.
Yep.
So one thing you could do is you could focus one meeting a month as strictly a business meeting, and not a lot of discussion, things like that. Just strictly go through business, and then have another one that's more of a workshop discussion based. And if you have business to fit in that as well, you can. But it might help to shrink down at least the time commitment on that, to have a business owned thought process.
So the thought is that at the next meeting, Corey, I think we were going to work with Teresa to put together some possible alternatives for what a board calendar would look like for next year, and then we could discuss that in more detail. So if everybody's on board with that approach.
Yeah, I just don't want to go to one meeting a month and have it be 6 hours.
Yeah.
So
If you go to one meeting a month,
that
it's gonna be
isn't,
6, 7 hours.
that isn't accomplishing what I want to accomplish, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. I think the issues, at least this school year, is our meetings have been quite lengthy, and so.
Oh, we've also had a lot going on this
Yeah.
year that we haven't had.
Yeah, but I think when you meet, like, you find issues to discuss, and meetings, tend to go longer. So if we can just reduce the number of meetings and become more efficient during those meetings, that would be my suggestion. We have a save the date for the NISBA annual convention. Will be in Buffalo, October 22nd to 24th, 2026. And then we have an update from our ex officio student board member.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update on GSA. For Women's History Month, they're recognizing women on the morning announcements that they're with the GSA principals.
Thank you for that. And you're going to a training this Friday? Yeah, okay. So that's the regional board member, student board member check-in. Great. And the enrollment report is also attached there for your review. Any other discussion items? Okay. Moving on to item 6A, correspondence, information.
We did receive a request from the Ogden Library to be placed on the ballot again this year to collect their taxes.
Thanks, Corey. Any additions to the agenda?
The only item we added was the clarinetist for the high school musical, and that will be Donna Ward. And that is part of consent agenda item 8L, personnel appointments.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8, our consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull for discussion? The consent agenda includes the financial reports, the transfer of funds, declare surplus, appointing election inspectors and assistant clerks, approval of the senior class trip, approval of the Costa Rica trip for 2028, adopting the BOCES cooperative purchasing service resolution, approval of the BOCES services unit cost methodology, personnel resignation and retirement. I would like to recognize Beth Core, Cheryl Roman, and Gary Williams as who are retiring at the end of this year. I want to thank you for your lengthy service to the district. We have personnel unpaid leave of absence, personnel appointments, personnel mentor approval emergency, and personnel athletic recommendations. So I would entertain a motion for approval for the consent agenda.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Jake, second by Tammy. Any further discussion?
Did we find a replacement for the forklift? Is that why it's going up for surplus? Did you resolve that? Or we're just getting rid of it?
This is not replacing the tractor that's used. This is
Okay.
just one that's been sitting outside and not being used for quite
Okay,
some time.
yep. Nope, I
We're
just didn't
hoping
know.
that anything, we talked about putting a minimum bid on it of $15,000 so that we're hoping that anything we get will help offset the cost of the purchase.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is carried. Moving on to item 9, new business. 9A, accepting donations. We accept the following donations with sincere appreciation. $1,000 from NYSER to the Walton Central School District to fund the end of year employee luncheon. A bulk food donation from Good Cheap Food to the Walton Food Bank to the Food Services Department, which included 100 5-pound containers of peanut butter and 24 28-ounce cans of spaghetti sauce. Entertain a motion to accept those donations.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Jake, second by Tammy. All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. 9B, the adoption of the 26-27 school calendar. Turn this over to Teresa.
Yep, even though that wasn't the anticipated thing, we were gonna try to go ahead and look at that. We are proposing some different things on that, including some half days and potentially changing one of the conference days. And just hearing some of the impact, getting input from lots of different people, WTA, hearing from people that are in the actual staff. I think it's worth tabling right now because I'd like to do a little bit more research and hear a little bit more from each group before we make that final decision. I bring it forward.
I would move to table it. I'd also want you to reconsider if there's any way to get a February break in there, any way, shape, or form. That's a long spell, start of the new year all the way through April, May, without, it's just a long period of time for students and staff alike. So if we could reconsider that in the table, I'd make that motion.
Can I just add that? Another component is we're hearing now some rumbling of other schools that are looking at having some of their conference days before school, so that they're not the 2 right after the Labor Day, and also looking at the February break. And just, so there's some rumblings of that now happening as people are looking at adopting their budgets, or excuse me, their calendar. So I think we could pause for multiple reasons, if you're okay adopting it later.
Yeah, please just reconsider that as part of the table.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tammy. All those in favor of tabling this item?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we'll table item 9B.
So that will come back April 14th.
Yep. 9C is the adoption of the bus proposition. So this is for the purchase of 3 64-passenger student transport vehicles and 1 30-passenger student transport vehicle with wheelchair lift. Would entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Jake, second by Tammy. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. 9D is the approving a resolution providing for the holding the annual meeting in and for other matters in connection therewith.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Green, second by Tammy. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. The adoption of the district-wide safety plan.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Tammy, second by Jake. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Declaring lead agency, Walton Central School District as the lead agency for purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act associated with the 26-27 capital outlay
I'll
project.
move it.
Second.
Motion by Green, second by Tammy.
And this does require a roll call vote.
Any further discussion on this before we go to vote?
Mrs. Bowker?
Yes.
Mr. Davies?
Yes.
Mr. Dahl?
Yes.
Mr. Dutcher?
Aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mrs. Weedy?
Aye.
And Mr. Guerrero?
Aye. So that motion is carried. So we're in 9G, the adoption of the secret project resolution for the 26-27 capital outlay project.
Make the motion.
Motion by Tammy,
Second.
second by Bruce.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate
This
aye.
also,
Oh, this does, oh,
requires
sorry, I missed that.
roll call vote, yes.
Right, I'll do a roll call vote.
Mrs. Bowker?
Aye.
Mr. Davies?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Mr. Dutcher?
Aye.
Mrs. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Mrs. Tweedy?
Aye.
And Mr. Guerrero?
So that motion is carried. Moving on to 9H. Board of Education nomination of Yvonne Laviola and Melissa Stagnarno as candidate for the annual election of members of the Delaware, Shenango, Madison, and Siegel Board of Cooperative Education Services.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Bruce, second by Jake. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. 9I, personnel appointment. Heather Wally as teacher aide.
Take motion.
Second.
Motion by Jake, second by Green. All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 9I is carried. And we'll move on to 10A, our policy review. Ellie, can you please run through those?
Yes, we've got fiscal management goals, budget planning, budget transfers, fund balance policy, fiscal accounting and reporting, claims auditor, independent external audits, external audit guidance for school district officials, petty cash and petty cash accounts, and animals in the schools and on school property.
Thank you. Those are part of our annual policy review, so if anybody has any discussion items tonight, bring those forward, or we can bring them forward for the future meeting. Any discussion on those policies? Okay, move on to 10B, the policy first reading. Ellie, do you want to run through those?
Sexual harassment exhibit, homework, school safety plans and teams, charging meals and other food items, and free meal services.
So this motion would be for declaring those policies through the first reading tonight. Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Jake, second by Tammy. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. And then we have a motion 10C, declaring policies and exhibits and regulations obsolete. Because we've just adopted the first reading for the sexual harassment policies, we need to have a motion for making obsolete our sexual harassment policies, the sexual harassment of students, sexual harassment of student regulation, sexual harassment of employees, sexual harassment of employees exhibit, and sexual harassment of employees regulation.
Point of question. Doesn't that happen after the second reading is adopted?
Yes, you are correct. We'll bring that back.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary. Do we need a motion to table this for now, or?
I mean, I don't know if we do or not, but I think we could capture it as a motion to bring this back once the other policies have passed the second reading.
Okay. We're good with that? Okay. So moving on to 11A, administrators' remarks.
Who would like to begin?
I'll go first. I just want to point out that we have our musical coming up. It's March 26th, 27th, and 28th at 7 p.m. They're doing Newsies. They have over 40 students involved. It's one of the larger casts we've had. I'd just like to encourage you to come out and support our students. We had our second quarter wellness day on February 13th, first Friday 13th of the winter. So it went well. We did kicked it off with a staff versus student volleyball game. This is Two Checks Advisor Group won the volleyball championship and went against the teacher team. Last year the students won. This year the teachers were able to get a little bit of revenge. I don't know if we had a better team or what. We also had in the afternoon we had our academic reward Sundays. We had a family feud style game, and then we did a human board game. A group came in and did it in the high school gym. It was very well received. We do a survey after each of our wellness days to see what we need to adjust, and that led from last year adjusting to a half-day schedule. And this was one of the more overwhelmingly positive surveys we got back from both kids and staff. The other thing I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Loomis said, we have a number of middle schoolers in the musical. They do a fantastic job every year. It's really worth it to come out, even if you're not normally a musical type person. Kids do an awesome job. You get to see them in a way you don't always see our students in. You know, some really shine on stage where they might not shine on the athletic field or sometimes even in the classroom. So it's very cool to see them. You know, we're blown away every year. Our kids. So. I'm not just saying that because I have a kid in it.
Bias. Thank you. I just want to read one thing off of Melanie's because I think it's pretty important as it goes towards, we're working towards academic excellence through our strategic planning and our board priorities. Townsend's curriculum committee has been researching different ELA programs aligned with the science of reading best practice. The team is evaluating the effectiveness of our current programming and learning about other ELA programs with the goal of offering a structured literacy program that offers all 6 skills and competencies. Their first visit was in Downsville, where they engaged with teachers and students in a program that they're reviewing. Just really important, I want to just do shout out. I know Ms. Hector feels the same way. Everybody who's working on that committee is working very hard and taking the time to really reflect and review and make a good choice. So I appreciate that.
Move on to superintendent's remarks.
All right, I'm going to talk really fast because we're past our 7 o'clock. So I just want to bring up some really important things. One is a follow-up to one of the public comments that we did have. We have some people who came at the last meeting for volleyball, and I wanted to let you know that we did end up establishing that the boys could play at the sectional, which actually was this last weekend, and we organized a volleyball match on Wednesday, March 11th with Walton and the Franklin Unitigo team. And the update, circling back to the sectionals, is the boys placed first in their pool with a record of 7-1, and they came in 22nd out of all the rest of the teams. So that's a really great record. Super congratulations. Oh, third.
Yeah.
Oh, did I?
So it was third out of 22,
say
right? I read that.
Yeah, I wrote it wrong. But super awesome. Thank you for the correction. Can't come in 22nd. Now I'm hearing it from them and you, so I was like, visual 3. But what a nice way. I mean, for all that went on, I'm really super awesome. So good job. As well as for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for coordinating the match during the week. I think that was great. And it was just a great opportunity for the kids, and they played awesome, and it was just great to see them.
they get to plan their home court, which I didn't
Yes,
realize
yes.
that hadn't been something you'd done,
That's
so
pretty exciting.
happy that we did it. No, it took a lot of people to get it, a lot of, but I appreciate it. All worth it. Update on athletics just in general, we did have candidates that we did have an interview process yesterday, so I want to say thank you to the committees that sat down and looked at the candidates that we have, looking for certain skill sets as we move forward to support the athletics. We'll talk a little bit more about that with the shared services team, but just following up obviously with the board as well. Shout out to FFA, the sub-states were reported out on WVNG, I heard, which is a big deal, and featured our students. They were well represented, and we had some people here that actually helped support them. But we want to recognize Kylie Van Buren and Brittany Constable for all their support to our students and the efforts they did to help them be so recognized. So awesome job. On Friday, we held a March Superintendent's Conference Day, which was the January 26th that got flipped to the 13th. We spent time engaging on building some information on building relationships, appropriate staff and student relations, restorative practices, portrait of a graduate. The central idea is culturally responsive, sustaining, structured framework, which is the center, if you've seen the icon that represents portrait of a graduate. And then multi-tiered system of supports, FTSS, assessments, interventions, lots of things that we kind of covered as they weaved into the whole morning. And then there was time for collegial meetings and people to have some listening circles and be able to work on things that they need to. We actually also had some of our staff attend the regional workshop over at Unitigo on physical education. So it was a collegial conversation for them to learn from each other and network. I met with Music on the Delaware. Actually, I met with them today, Vicki O'Brien and Jim Richardson, because they wanted to talk about the Music on the Delaware. I have no problem with that kind of a partnership. I think that's important. They are reaching out to see if we want to be participate in the June 6th porch event that they're doing. Porch Fest. Super excited about that. They're trying to do a parade, and so I'm going to reach out to different people here in our school to see if we want to participate, so it can be a collaboration.
Were they looking to use our venue, or this was just?
They just want to be able to see if we want to participate in the parade with different people, maybe have some kids on bikes, so I'll be reaching out to administrators in the music department to see if that's something that we could do. I noted that is also the senior class trip though, right, so we have to just think about that. The other thing that we did, last thing I'll mention, is we had our community group. It had been canceled. We ended up having it today. Grady was there as well. So we did have the mayor, and we also had our Paul, I'm not going to remember his name.
How to pronounce it.
Lovely person who came, who represented all of our churches. But like I said, the mayor. I really appreciated this one. It's the second one that I've been part of, and I think it's really important for us to be able to share the information we know so we can start collaborating and have that partnership. So, and it was so great. They were tapping into you as much as, we were all tapping into each other as far as the information we could share. So I thought it was very productive and effective.
Good.
Also, any questions about anything?
Thanks very much.
All right.
Okay, so in light of the community budget forum and the anticipated need for executive session, the Board of Education will now recess the regular business meeting until the conclusion of the forum, at which time we will return to the regular business meeting in order to enter into executive session. And no business will be taken after executive session. So I'd entertain a motion to recess the regular board meeting until the conclusion of the community budget.
Make motion.
Second.
Motion by Jane, second by Tammy. All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. So we are now moving to our community budget forum.
Nice try.
Nice try, This is the fun stuff.
This is
Mike,
okay. This is the budget with
So tonight is a community budget update, just to provide information to the community about where we are in the budget planning process. I will start off by prefacing this to say this is the draft budget. It still continues to be worked on. So these are the numbers where they stand today. They are not necessarily the final numbers as will be presented for a vote in May. Just some highlights. The total proposed expenditures in the budget are almost just about 26.5 million. One significant cost increase that we're dealing with in the budget is a projected 18% increase on health insurance. And just a couple Other things that we want to highlight, in continuity with the district's goals for this year of instructional excellence and social emotional learning and mental health, the decision had been made to integrate 2 social worker positions that were started out as funded through COVID funds several years ago and have continued to be grant funded. That grant is expiring at the end of this year. So we've they've been identified as key to our social emotional learning for the students throughout the district. And so they have been incorporated into the general fund budget for the first time. In addition, we have a number of retirements happening at the end of the year, but we've identified 2 positions that we're looking to not replace. They will be eliminated through attrition as the people in those positions are retiring, and there's a way to cover all the instructional needs without replacing those positions. In addition, based on the current student needs, we are proposing the addition of 1 high school special education teacher. So those are just some key highlights that support the district's goals this year and going into next year that are incorporated into the budget. Looking at the revenue side of things, revenues are projected at $24,772,000. You'll see here that there are 2 primary sources of our revenue, one being state aid, which represents 66% of our revenue, and the other being local revenue, which is 34%. The primary thing that is included in local revenue is real property taxes. There are a few other things that are included in there, such as interest earnings on our bank accounts, as well as if we have students from other districts attending here, things like that. But the primary piece in there is property taxes. As I said, state aid represents 66% of our revenue. So this chart simply compares our state aid that was in this year's budget to what we're projecting for next year. Foundation aid is increasing $147,000, about 1.25%. Transportation aid, you'll see, is decreasing. If you happened to look at the governor's proposal of what they project for transportation aid for our district for next year, the number is higher than that. And the reason is they're projecting based on our budget and what we're budgeting for this year, but we know that our actual expenses this year are lower because we've talked in the past about how we have fewer special education placements that are being transported to other areas, and so our costs are down this year, and so our state aid next year will be less. One area where we're seeing a significant increase is BOCES aid, and there's 2 things driving that. One is we spend more with BOCES, we get more in BOCES aid, but for a number of our BOCES services, there was a salary cap. You could only be aided on $30,000 of salary in certain positions, and the actual salaries were higher. They've raised that cap to 40, and it's going to raise, I think, for the next 2 years, so that's generated some more aid for us. So overall, we're looking at an increase of $253,000 in state aid, or about 1.6%. This chart just shows over the last 15 years the decrease in our enrollment trend. In 2010, our enrollment was about 1,050 students, and last year we were at 798. So we put this up here because this is a very important driver in our state aid calculations. As our student enrollment goes down, some of our state aid goes down as well. The other primary driver of our revenues is our tax levy. Based on feedback from the board at our budget workshop, our current levy for next year is proposed at $7,745,000, which is a 3.01% tax levy increase. It does exceed the tax cap by just over $77,000. Our increases in the 2 prior years were 3.5%, also exceeding the tax cap, so a little less than the last 2 years. Back to the expenditure side, this chart shows what makes up our various expenditures. The biggest part of our budget is salary and benefits. It makes up 69% of our budget. So that is all the staff throughout the district, from the superintendent, the facility staff, bus drivers, teachers, business office, all of the above. This chart also looks at expenditures, but rather than breaking it down by what the purpose is, it breaks it down by what the function is. Where are the dollars being spent? So 47% of our expenses goes towards instruction, 5% transportation, 14 general support, and 28% to employee benefits. So that just breaks out the function of the different expenses as opposed to the type of expense. So, as I mentioned earlier, our expenditures are projected at $26.4 million, and our revenues are projected at $24.7 million, which is a $1.7 million gap. We have discussed this, and that's a gap we've been trying to reduce and eliminate in recent years. We find that often our projected gap our actual gap ends up being significantly less than our projected gap, but now that we've worked our way out of COVID funding and different things, we're finding that we are experiencing deficits between revenues and expenses, and we're working to address that. This shows the same information. The lighter orange is our revenues, the darker orange is our expenses, and it just shows that the gap between revenues and expenses is increasing, and this is our fund balance. If we utilize fund balance, it continues to decrease. Finance Committee had previously set a goal of not appropriating fund balance that would bring us below 6% of the next year's budget. Based on where we are currently projecting our deficit for this year to be, and the amount of $1.7 million that it would take to close the gap, we would be at 5.7% of the next year's budget. So that's slightly below the goal of Finance Committee. So barring any other changes, that's where we would be. So as I mentioned, we're still continuing to work on the budget. A couple things that are outstanding that we're still refining. Reviewing special education services and placements. The special CSE department is currently in the process of having their CSE meetings, which will help determine needs and placements for next year. Last week, Mr. Williams provided a list of 11 potential new special education placements outside of the district. The draft budget has 3 in it. So Superintendent Glavin and I discussed this morning, how many do we want to work into the budget? Currently there's 3. We talked about possibly 8. Some don't always come to fruition. Maybe the student moves, things like that. If we add those 8, it will add another $200,000 to the deficit. Actually, yes, okay. We're still working on finalizing the BOCES budgets and services for next year. Rick and I need to dig into the IT pieces, which we just recently got the information from BT BOCES, and those are some pretty big budget lines. We're continuing to work on our health insurance plan to look at alternatives for next year. Some of those alternatives, if pursued, would require us working with the unions, and we do have a meeting this Friday to look at where we are with current alternatives. I have incorporated in the draft budget potential savings of $200,000 for the district next year. So that was worked into the draft budget based on feedback from the committee of pursuing the board at the budget workshop of pursuing those options. So that's been worked in here, but those are not guaranteed at this point. We need to continue to evaluate how much fund balance we want to apply to the deficit, if this is a number that the board is comfortable with, or if they want to continue to refine the budget numbers to get somewhere else. If the state adopts the budget by April 1st, we would have more detailed numbers on foundation aid. My understanding is that the House and Senate both presented budgets that include a 2% increase in foundation aid, which is slightly higher than what the governor's proposal was. So if indeed that happens, we might be able to increase our foundation aid budget a little bit. And there were a number of questions in the budget survey related to busing and maybe changing the walkers. We did do some work to look at that. There are 460 students in the district that are walkers, that if we were to change the way that we do busing could potentially be eligible to ride. I reviewed what that would do to our transportation aid. So we get a reduction in transportation aid based on what's called the non-allowable pupil decimal, meaning students below 1.5 miles that we allow to ride the bus. And the way the district finds that information is that one time every year, our bus drivers have to track in the morning and the afternoon how many people get on their bus that are within that walking limit. Worst case scenario, if on the day that they tracked it, all 460 students rode in the morning and at night, it would reduce our transportation aid, all other things being equal, by $47,000. We don't know exactly how many students will ride, and we certainly don't know how many students would ride on the day that we happen to do this non-allowable pupil decimal calculation. So it'd be somewhere between $0 and $47,000. The other big assumption with that piece is that we wouldn't need any additional buses or drivers. Mr. Llewellyn was working on determining how many students could fit on our current buses, in addition to the students that regularly ride. But it's not going to be 460. So adding additional buses and drivers would add additional costs to the district as well. So there are currently no changes or nothing, there's nothing assumed in the budget to change our walking limit, and if that were going to be pursued, it would have to be presented to the public for a vote. An additional proposition on the ballot will also be the purchase of 4 buses. They would be replacing buses that we currently lease. The total estimated cost, as you approve the resolution tonight, is not to exceed $735,000, and it's funded through a bond anticipation that we take out, and then we pay annually on that. I'm not sure, pivoting a little bit from the community budget update piece, I know that I provided some information based on questions that the board had. We talked about at our last meeting what the next steps in the process are. Are we meeting again? And we discussed the fact that we don't have another budget workshop set up. We typically get updates at the board meetings. I welcome feedback from the board about how you want to proceed from here. Do we want to set up additional meetings to review the budget more? Do you want us to just continue to update you in this form, or what would you like to see moving forward? Or any other questions?
So the legislature proposed some changes to the foundation aid formula. I know last year, the business managers of business officials group, they put out a spreadsheet where you could kind of sort of play around with the last year's changes. Have you seen anything like that for this year?
Not that I'm thinking of.
Or do you know if those would really be substantial for us?
I'm not aware of any that would be substantial for us.
Okay.
Your anticipated foundation aid was at 1 point, that was
2 or something? Yeah. That's decreased then from what it was originally?
So foundation aid is at 1.26. You say that could go to 2?
This could go
Yeah, could go to 2. Can we just see what that projection would do with things?
Sure.
I know that it's not going to mean a lot, because you can always factor in, like you talked about, the other additional placements. You have 3 in budget now. If you go to 8, that's going to be gone immediately, probably, in that scenario. Yeah. So, I'm comfortable with updates to the board at a board meeting. I don't think we need another, unless something comes in drastically different from the House or the adopted budget.
When do you need the official committal on the tax? Like what's that date?
So I filed the tax cap,
Yep.
which was due March 1st, based on the 3.01% increase on the levy. So the next committal date is when you adopt the budget. And set the levy.
That 1.26, that's lower than the original, right, which was like 1.7. Is that because that's from an updated run? Is that
I'd
why
have to
that's
go back and
changed?
compare the two.
The governor's run was 1.7.
Was the 1.7-ish on the total?
It was foundation aid.
So you're looking at that sheet from the governor that shows this year's and last year's?
Yes, yes.
I'd have to compare them to look at the difference. This is comparing our budget this year to our budget next year. So I think we're receiving slightly less this year than we budgeted. I don't want to say too much off the top of my head without checking, but just keep in mind that that's comparing actual this year to proposed next year, where this is comparing budget to budget, so that might be the difference.
Okay. Any further discussion on the need for updates or interim meetings? Or next meeting is for April 13th?
14th.
14th? It's about a month away.
Thanks, Beck.
And just as a follow-up, we are gonna be putting a budget newsletter out, so that's gonna be super gratifying on social media, and starting to already work doing it. So that'll go out to community members.
And will this PDF be made available? The presentation?
I can send it to Cory to add to.
Okay. Thank you.
Meg, thanks for all the time that you spend doing this, because I know your head's hit your desk at least 15 times smashing it.
I feel like I'm a merry-go-round.
I
get it.
Was a lot of
thank
that,
you.
was that a lot of that prepared with the software that we purchased last year? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's still helpful.
There's actually it's like 3 different sources pulled together. You notice some of the slides are really dark. But yes, some of it was from the software.
Good. I think it's helpful to have like the percentage breakdown to understand like where it's coming from.
Saves me a lot of time because graphic arts is not my forte by any means. So definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, at this time, we have a motion to conclude the community budget forum and return to the regular board meetings.
Make a motion.
Motion by Jake, second by Tammy. All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. And we do have a need for executive session tonight for a purpose of discussing a matter relating to the future employment of particular persons.
Make the motion.
Motion by Tammy. Second. Second by Jake. All those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. We will not be taking any action after executive session other than to adjourn the meeting, so I'll ask in advance, we'll make a motion to return to general session. And to
Second.
adjourn. Motion by Tammy, second.
Try.
Second by Grady. All those in
I
favor
didn't hear Tammy
indicate aye.
first.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried.